yesterday, I don't know if you remember, I did a little rant about you can't handle the truth about Mike McCarthy. There's only 5 coaches in the history of the NFL that have taken the same team to the postseason 8 straight years. Chuck Noll, Tom Landry, Mike McCarthy, Bill Belichick, Andy Reid.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Reid did that without Patrick Mahomes. He did that with Donovan McNabb.
Yeah.
Like, it is, like, when you start to break down, and this gets back into that conversation yesterday about who we value as coaches you can bank. And I think you just bank on Andy Reid now. The proof's in the pudding, not just the Patrick Mahomes run, the run he had in Philadelphia, even though they didn't win a Super Bowl. It's been there, done that, and they figure out a way. So in this 2-horse equation in the AFC West, we know that horse. That's a trustable horse. Do we trust the Chargers as team 2 in this division? Because, Matt, I got to be honest with you. Look, I love the pomp and circumstance, and it's like going to the show. When I watch the Chargers, I feel like I'm watching a movie. I don't know how it's going to end. It's going to be exciting, but normally at the end you go, how did that happen? And normally it's like some inexplicable loss at the end that you can't figure out how this team went 10-7 again last year, blew that playoff game to Jacksonville, and a game nobody should ever lose when you're up 27-0 with Justin Herbert, and now you get Kellen Moore. Like, who are the Chargers? I don't know. I'm still confused by this team.
Yeah, I mean, what was going on with Lombardi at the helm last year at offensive coordinator was just an absolute abomination, because what we had was a guy that in Justin Herbert, one of the biggest arms in the league, one of the best 50-50 ball guys. Now, what you think about Mike Williams as an overall receiver, that's up for debate. But as far as like guys who can go win 50-50 balls and stuff like that, like he's one of the very best in the NFL. You still have one of the most polished route runners in Keenan Allen. And the fact that he was 26th in the league in average depth of target, that you are keeping everything underneath, that you are not testing this stuff down the field, that you are not utilizing this weapon, this God-given talent that this guy has on his right shoulder, it was criminal. So the first thing that Kellen Moore said is he came in, I'm not doing that, right? Like, we're going to test this. We're going to push the ball down the field.
We're stretching the field.
Yeah, we're going to utilize these weapons that we got. They go and they add Quinton Johnson, by the way, who should then at that point make things a little bit easier on the other 2 guys, right? Because he's going to have to be accounted for. This is a guy that a lot of people really, really like coming out of this draft class. And him being your 3rd guy really and truly should lighten the load there on Allen and Williams. And you have Ekeler back in, supposedly at least mildly gruntled as opposed to disgruntled now, right? Like he's at least somewhat gruntled. He's at least somewhat gruntled as opposed to disgruntled.
Just a little bit.
A pretty good offensive line. Like there's the offensive side of the ball here for the Chargers should be no question.
Get back your left tackle from Northwestern. It was that all last year.
Should be no question. Now you do look on the other side of the ball on the defensive side, and you outside of Bosa, there are some guys. I mean, there are some question marks specifically at corner. They're going to need some guys to step up, right? I mean, like it's corner's going to be one of the positions certainly that people are going to be kind of really and truly nitpicking all year with this team, but they do have one good corner. They do have a good safety to go along with all this. So, I mean, I just don't know what I'm not betting on them because they burned me so much. Whatever. Like,
man,
I will say this. Like, this team is the team that if we are sitting here talking in January and they are the team that has 13, 14 wins, it would not surprise me in the least bit. It would not surprise me in the least bit.
They stung the nostrils to me last year in that playoff game. I still can't believe I lost that wager. You never take anything for granted. But this is a Brandon Staley question for me. I think it's a big year for him because, again, I don't know what else you really need. And yes, you need health, and they've had issues the last 2 years. Every team does. But they've had some key players. I mentioned Slater in the left side of the offensive line. Derwin James stays in the tub. You know, he's got to be healthy and be out there. And same thing with Mack and certainly Bosa. If they have all of their complement of players, there's no excuses.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.